That man is richest whose pleasures are the cheapest. Let us look at this slowly. You live in a world where people believe pleasure must be expensive. They believe pleasure must come from a luxury car, a bigger house, a promotion, a woman who validates them, applause from strangers, a bank balance large enough to silence their insecurities. So they spend their lives running after costly pleasures. But here is the problem: costly pleasures own you. Because if your happiness requires expensive conditions, then life has placed you on a leash. You must earn more, you must impress more, you must compete more, you must become someone in order to feel something. That is not wealth, that is psychological slavery wearing a luxury suit. Now look at another man. A man who can sit under a tree and feel complete. A man who can take a long walk and feel alive. A man who can read a page and feel his mind expanding. A man who can breathe deeply in the morning air and feel grateful without knowing why. His pleasures cost almost nothing, yet they give him everything. No one can tax them. No market crash can destroy them. No competitor can take them away. This man is dangerous to the world because he cannot be controlled. You cannot manipulate him with status. You cannot bait him with fame. You cannot enslave him with money. Why? Because he has already discovered something the world hides from you. The greatest pleasures in life are free: silence, solitude, understanding, clarity, a peaceful mind. So when I say that man is richest, whose pleasures are the cheapest, I'm not speaking about money, I'm speaking about freedom. The man who needs little cannot be manipulated. The man who cannot be manipulated is the only man who is truly rich. The world trains you to chase expensive pleasures. Wisdom teaches you to enjoy simple ones. And the moment you truly understand that, you become wealthy in a way money can never measure. So, expensive pleasures create dependency. Dependency creates psychological slavery. Cheap pleasures create freedom. Freedom is the real form of wealth. A man who enjoys simple things cannot be controlled. True richness is needing very little. The more conditions your happiness requires, the less free you are. His pleasure costs almost nothing, yet they give him everything. Most people believe value is tied to price. If something costs 5 lakh, they assume it must give immense happiness. If something costs nothing, like sitting alone, walking, reading, watching the sky, they assume it must be meaningless. But life quietly reveals the opposite. The man who can enjoy a morning walk, a silent evening, a good book, a deep conversation, a moment of understanding, has access to pleasure every single day. He doesn't need permission, money, status, validation. His source of joy is internally accessible. So while the world chases rare pleasures, he lives inside abundant ones. That is why it gives him everything. No one can tax them, no market crash can destroy them. Look carefully at how modern happiness works. Many pleasures are tied to external systems. Luxury lifestyle dependent on income. Status dependent on social approval. Business success dependent on market conditions. Fame dependent on public attention. All of these can disappear overnight. A recession comes, a market collapses, a company shuts down, people stop praising you, and suddenly your happiness evaporates. But what about someone whose joy comes from clarity of mind, solitude, learning, inner peace? No government can tax that. No market can crash that. No competitor can steal that. Because those pleasures exist within your consciousness, not outside it. Costly pleasures own you. This is the hidden trap. The moment your happiness requires expensive inputs, you must serve those inputs. For example, if your happiness depends on a luxury car, you must maintain income. Status, you must maintain reputation. Admiration, you must maintain image. So, now your life becomes maintenance. You are not living freely. You are constantly protecting the conditions that allow you to feel good. This is why many wealthy people are actually terrified of losing what they have. Their pleasures have become masters. If your happiness requires expensive conditions, life has placed you on a leash. A leash means something else controls your movement. When happiness depends on external circumstances, those circumstances control you. Example: if you need success to feel worthy, a partner to feel complete, recognition to feel valuable, then whoever controls those things controls your emotional state. Your boss, the market, public opinion, other people's approval. You are no longer sovereign, you are psychologically domesticated. This man is dangerous to the world. The world runs on manipulation through desire. Advertising works because people want things. Politics works because people fear losing things. Status systems work because people crave recognition. But imagine a man who does not crave status, does not chase approval, does not fear simplicity, does not require expensive pleasures. How do you manipulate him? You cannot threaten him with poverty, you cannot tempt him with fame, you cannot lure him with luxury. He becomes uncontrollable, and systems built on control fear such people. That is not wealth, that is psychological slavery wearing a luxury suit. Many people believe wealth means having more possessions, but if those possessions create anxiety about losing them, pressure to maintain them, dependence on them for happiness, then they are not assets. They are chains made of gold. But from the outside, it looks glamorous, but internally, the person is trapped in constant fear. Fear of falling, fear of losing status, fear of becoming irrelevant. So the suits looks luxurious, but the mind inside it is enslaved. The real insight. True wealth is not measured by what you can afford. It is measured by what you do not need. The fewer conditions required for your happiness, the more unassailable your life becomes. The poor man says, I will be happy when life gives me more. The rich man says, I am happy because I require very little. And the world will never understand that the second man has already won. So, most people spend their entire lives trying to increase what they can afford. They want a bigger house, a better car, a higher salary, more recognition, more admiration, and they call this becoming rich. But very few stop to examine a deeper question. What if wealth is not about increasing what you can afford, but decreasing what you need? Because every new need quietly builds a new chain. The man who needs status must serve status. The man who needs admiration must serve people's opinions. The man who needs luxury must serve money. His life becomes a series of obligations disguised as success. But the man whose pleasures are simple, silence, understanding, solitude, a walk, a clear mind, lives in a different dimension. He does not need to constantly prove himself. He does not need to chase approval. He does not need life to be a certain way in order to feel complete. And because of that, life cannot corner him. Nothing essential can be taken from him. That is why the man with the cheapest pleasures is the richest man alive. Not because he has more, but because nothing owns him.